2025 Montgomery shooting, Montgomery, Alabama. Before we begin, if you love dark real-life stories, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and remember, what you're about to hear actually happened. The city of Montgomery, Alabama, glowed under the soft amber light of street lamps that lined Dexter Avenue. It was a warm Saturday night, October 4, 2025, the kind of night when people laughed a little louder and stayed out a little later. The air buzzed with energy from the college football game that had just ended. Crowds poured into downtown bars and food trucks, neon signs flickering against the pavement still wet from a light evening drizzle. Among the crowd were Kayla Richardson, a 17-year-old high school senior with bright dreams of becoming a nurse, and Marcus Reed, a quiet 43-year-old mechanic who was just there to grab a burger before heading home. Two people who never knew each other. Two people who should have lived through the night. At 11:47 p.m., a faint pop echoed from somewhere down the block. It was so soft that most people didn't notice at first, just another noise in the city night. Then came another. And another. Sharp cracks split the air, followed by screams. Glass shattered as chaos erupted in the heart of the crowd. People ran in every direction, spilling drinks, knocking over chairs, diving behind cars. The music stopped. Tires screeched. The smell of gunpowder cut through the smoky night air. Someone yelled, "They're shooting." Police radios lit up. Within minutes, flashing red and blue lights painted the buildings. Officers from the Montgomery Police Department arrived to a scene that looked like a war zone. Shoes, cell phones, and food containers scattered across the street. A man lay face down near a broken food truck window. A girl in a red hoodie wasn't moving. The sound of someone crying cut through the sirens. Chief Darrell Pierce arrived not long after, his face grim. "Get those blocks sealed off, now," he ordered. "No one in or out." Witnesses said the gunfire came from two cars that pulled up from opposite ends of the street. It started as an argument, something small, maybe between rival groups, but it turned into something far worse. When the shots rang out, the shooters didn't seem to care who they hit. Kayla had been standing with friends near a taco stand when the first bullets flew. One struck her as she turned to run. Marcus was caught behind his pickup truck, trying to help a stranger crawl to safety. By the time paramedics arrived, both were gone. Word spread fast. Within an hour, Montgomery shooting was trending across every platform. Live streams showed flashing lights and police tape as reporters swarmed the scene. People at home scrolled through their feeds, shaking their heads, whispering, "Not again." At 2 a.m., Chief Pierce stood before the cameras, his voice steady but tight. "This is a senseless tragedy," he said. "We will find who did this. We will bring them to justice." But deep down, even he knew this wasn't just a random act. This was organized. Calculated. A few blocks away, in a dark alley behind an old laundromat, a black Dodge Charger idled quietly. Inside sat three men, faces hidden by hoodies. One of them, tapping his fingers against the dashboard, muttered, "It wasn't supposed to go down like that." The driver didn't reply. He just stared through the windshield, watching the distant police lights reflect off the wet asphalt. "Too late now," the third man whispered. "We finish what we started." The car pulled away slowly, disappearing into the night as the sound of helicopters filled the sky above Montgomery. And just like that, the city that had been alive with celebration hours before had fallen into silence, heavy, cold, and full of questions no one could yet answer. By sunrise, the heart of Montgomery looked like a battlefield. Yellow tape fluttered in the early morning wind, and the once bustling downtown streets now stood silent, sealed off with police cruisers. Reporters hovered like vultures, cameras zooming in on every shattered window, every bullet hole in the brick walls. Detective Eli Turner, a veteran with the Montgomery Police Department, stood beside the coroner's van, watching two stretchers being loaded inside. His face was tired, the kind of tired that no coffee could fix. He'd seen violence before, but this was different. "Two dead," the officer beside him said softly. 12 injured. Half of them kids. Turner rubbed his jaw. "What started it?" "Looks like an argument between two groups outside the Blue Lantern bar. Witnesses say someone shouted a name, then shots were fired from both sides." Turner frowned. The Blue Lantern wasn't just a bar, it was a hangout spot known for trouble. But this level of destruction, felt more like a message than a fight. He turned to Detective Carla Ruiz, his partner. "Let's check the cameras. Somebody out there caught this on their phone." They spent hours collecting footage. Ring cameras, storefront recordings, shaky cell phone clips uploaded to social media within minutes of the shooting. By noon, the police station's video room was filled with flashing screens. Ruiz paused one clip from a store's security cam. Right there. You see that? 2 cars. One silver sedan. One black Dodge Charger. Both stopped at opposite ends of the street just before the chaos started. Turner leaned in. That's coordinated. Not spontaneous. Ruiz nodded. And here's the kicker. The Charger's plates come back stolen. Reported 2 days ago. By evening they had names: Darius D-Rock Milton, Terry Quinn and Landon Brooks, small-time criminals with bigger connections. They weren't just random street thugs. They were linked to an underground gun ring operating between Birmingham and Montgomery, moving weapons across state lines. Turner knew what that meant. Someone's arming them. Someone higher. Meanwhile, the city was spiraling. Parents lit candles at a growing memorial outside the Blue Lantern. Kayla Richardson's photo, smiling, holding her graduation cap, sat surrounded by flowers and flickering candles. Marcus Reed's brother gave a trembling interview on live TV saying, he died helping someone else. He didn't deserve this. But somewhere else in Montgomery, the shooters weren't hiding. They were watching. In an abandoned house on the city's east side, Darius paced across the living room floor, his phone buzzing nonstop. You said nobody was supposed to get hit? He shouted at the man on the other end of the line. Now the cops all over us. They found the Charger. A voice replied, low and cold. You panicked. You drew attention. Now you fix it. Darius froze. Fix it? How? The voice paused. There's a camera we missed. Near the taco stand. You know what to do. The line went dead. Back at the station, Ruiz found something chilling in the footage. A tall figure in a dark trench coat, standing in the shadows at the far end of the street right before the shooting. No weapon, no panic, just watching. Who's that? She asked, zooming in. The image pixelated, but the outline was clear. A man still as stone wearing a baseball cap. Turner narrowed his eyes. He's not running. He's not scared. That means he knew, Ruiz said quietly. Later that night, the detectives traced a signal from one of the shooter's phones. It pinged on the city's outskirts, an old junkyard near the Alabama River. When they arrived, all they found was the burnt shell of the stolen Charger. The heat still rose from the metal. Someone had torched it less than an hour ago. Turner kicked at the dirt, finding something half buried near the driver's side. A gold chain engraved with the initials LB. Landon Brooks, Ruiz whispered. So they're cleaning house. Turner stared at the smoldering wreck, his gut tightening. This wasn't just revenge or chaos. Someone's tying loose ends. Behind them, a police radio crackled to life with an urgent update. Detective Turner, we've got another shooting. Same MO, Northeast Montgomery. 2 victims. 1 survived. Turner's eyes darkened. It's starting again. The night wind carried the distant echo of sirens as the detectives raced toward the flashing lights, unaware that the one survivor was about to reveal something that would turn the entire case upside down. Rain fell over Montgomery that night, tapping softly against the squad car as Detective Eli Turner drove through the slick streets. The radio crackled with dispatch chatter, and somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled. He and Ruiz pulled up to the new crime scene, a quiet neighborhood just outside Madison Avenue, where police lights painted the houses in red and blue flashes. A man lay on the ground, alive but barely. The paramedics were working fast. Blood covered his shirt and his voice was hoarse when he whispered, I didn't mean to, they made me do it. Turner crouched beside him. Who made you? The man looked at him, eyes glassy from pain. It wasn't supposed to be a shooting. It was supposed to scare them. His breath caught. They said the chief wanted it cleaned up, that we were just sending a message. Turner froze. Chief. But before he could ask more, the man's eyes rolled back. The heart monitor gave one last beep. He was gone. Ruiz exchanged a look with him. Did he just say, the chief? Turner didn't answer. He just stood, his mind racing. Chief Darrell Pierce, the man leading the investigation, was one of the most respected officers in the city. A family man. A veteran. But lately there'd been rumors in the department. Missing guns, altered reports, evidence that never made it to court. Back at headquarters, Turner reviewed all the footage again. Every clip. Every second. And there, buried deep in the background of the street camera from the night of the Montgomery shooting, he saw it. The shadowy man in the trench coat, standing under a streetlight. This time, the rain's reflection gave away what was pinned to his chest. A police badge. His blood ran cold. Ruiz stared at the screen. That can't be him. Turner didn't respond. He remembered that night, the chief arriving minutes after the shooting, before dispatch even released the scene's location. He remembered how calm he was. How he'd ordered certain footage to be sealed for internal review. Turner grabbed his coat. "He's at the station right now. Let's go." They arrived just past midnight. The building was almost empty, the hum of fluorescent lights echoing down the hallway. In his office, Chief Pierce sat at his desk, scrolling through his phone. He looked up as Turner walked in. "Detective," he said, voice calm. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Turner took a step forward. "I just might have." He dropped a folder on the desk. Inside were photos, screenshots from the footage, timestamps, call logs, and the burnt car's forensics. Pierce didn't even glance down. He just sighed, leaning back in his chair. "You shouldn't have dug that deep, Eli." "So it's true?" Turner asked quietly. Pierce gave a small, tired smile. "You think those gangs get their guns from the streets? No. They come from evidence lockers, from raids, from inside. I keep them in line. Without me, this city burns every week." "You killed kids," Ruiz snapped. "I saved the city," Pierce replied, his voice rising. "You don't understand how dirty it gets. Someone has to do what's necessary." Turner's hand hovered near his holster, his voice trembling. "You used us. You used everyone." Pierce stood slowly, his eyes cold. "And you'll never prove it. You have no footage that isn't already under my name. You'll lose your badge before I lose mine." But Ruiz had been recording the entire conversation on her body cam. She pressed the small button on her vest, ending the recording with a soft beep that filled the silence. The chief's expression shifted. "You think anyone will believe you over me?" Before he could move, backup officers burst through the door. The room filled with shouting, the flash of handcuffs, and the weight of everything crashing down at once. Pierce didn't fight. He just looked at Turner, almost sad. "You think locking me up fixes it? The system's already built like this. You'll see." As they led him away, thunder boomed again outside. Days later, the city began to heal. Vigils were held for Kayla and Marcus. News outlets reported that the chief of police had been arrested for conspiracy and obstruction of justice. The streets were quieter. But for Turner, sleep didn't come easy. One night, he drove past the old alley behind the laundromat, the place where the charger had first disappeared. Rain slicked the pavement again, glinting under the dim streetlights. He stopped the car, got out, and stood for a long time in the silence. Somewhere behind him, he thought he heard footsteps, faint but steady. When he turned, no one was there, just the shadows and the whisper of the city breathing again. He got back into his car and whispered almost to himself, "Some ghosts don't stay buried." The radio crackled. Another call was coming in. Another crime. Another night in Montgomery. He sighed, started the engine, and drove into the dark.